Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the current affairs and gazette for today, that is 27th of January 2022. Before we begin this discussion, let me welcome all the people who are there online. Hi Amlan, good evening Hima, hello Babani, hi Netra, good evening to Kriti, hi Sam, good evening. We have Jyotish, good evening to you. Pooja, good evening. Hi Ashish, good evening peace lover, good evening all of you. People watching offline or joining later, good evening to you as well. Welcome and good evening. There's a discussion ensuing here and the question is, what is the progress of manufacturing of electronics industry in India? I really appreciate the points you have put and special mention to Hima because of the kind of data and stats that she has put here. I have been noting down each of your improvement here and this is commendable what you're putting down. The points of appreciation of how India can develop electronics industry, this is also well regarded. Good. Now we will be discussing this in details in the feature news today itself, right? So this is going to come back to you again, right? Good evening Pooja, good evening. So let's begin the current affairs discussion. Before that, one more thing, did you people watch the Republic Day parade or not? Because quite a few of you have already mentioned yes, you have watched. Now, many of the themes that were covered in Republic Day were already a part of our current affairs program. What I want to say through this is that if the government is emphasizing on the same things that are there in the current affairs or that are there in our presentations, that means that we align somewhere. And these are the places from where questions could definitely get generated, right? So do surround yourself with those kind of things which help you grow, because we become what we consume. And this is a special mention to all the people who have watched the Republic Day parade. I would like to share some of the important highlights that I found something that we could, pick up things from, right? These are just examples. For examples, just before the parade began, there was a complete mention of National War Memorial. Do you remember that? It was there as a part of the Doordarshan program, and they described all the four concentric circles, Raksha Chakra, Tyag Chakra, Veerta Chakra, Amar Chakra, and what is put in each of them. So this is a possible question for your prelims exam as well. How many concentric circles are there, or what is contained? Match the following, right? This is one thing that could get generated. Did you notice how Prime Minister was welcomed by the Defense Minister? And why specifically Defense Minister? They are a part of the cabinet, I agree, Defense Minister is, but why only Defense Minister? Why not the Home Minister? The question was already answered in our current affairs session, because it is the Ministry of Defense which organizes the Republic Day parade. Now, one thing to mention here is, before the Prime Minister was welcomed, the Defense Minister themselves were welcomed by the three chiefs of the service staff and the Defense Secretary. Why? Because this is the order of precedence, right? So first of all, these three service staff, the Chief of the Army Staff, Chief of Naval and Chief of Air Force Staff, they would be present. And after that, the Defense Secretary would come, and then the Defense Minister, and then the Prime Minister. This is the order of precedence. This is how they were welcomed at the National War Memorial. And when they went back to the place where the parade was getting organized at Rajpath, then also these people had to be available first. The person who took exit first was the Prime Minister, but the person who reached last again was the Prime Minister. This is the way the whole ceremonies are carried out. Once you become the secretaries, you will be probably organizing these kind of events as well. So the Prime Minister's vehicle would be moving at a slow pace, and these people would, come back early and then hold, the whole dais here and welcome the Prime Minister. And after Prime Minister comes, then the Vice President, and after that the President arrived, right? So this is the table of precedence. So the order of precedence is what you should remember, right? So what is the position of Chief Justice of India, or the Chief Ministers of State, or the governors inside their particular governing territory or outside, right? So this is the order of precedence. We have discussed this. You should get back and revise that quickly, right? Then just a quick mention to C-17, C-17 and C-130, C-17 Globemaster and C-130 Hercules. These are two aircrafts we have purchased from corporates abroad, and one of them, although the word C is carried with both of them, but then they are from different companies. One is from Boeing, the other one is from Lockheed Martin. Point I'm making here is that they look very similar, but they have different specialities, different specifications, different reasons why we purchase them. So this is where you should start looking at that perspective, right? A question for you guys: PVC, Paramveer Chakra and Ashok Chakra, which was presented this time, and how many number? Then we also had presentations of those, the war instruments that were used in the 1971 war, and the ones that we have right now. Main battle tank Arjun, right? We built this tank by ourselves, most of the components, and we have discussed this also. We have discussed this Arjun battle tank. Why? What is the maneuverability? What is the size, capacity? How fast it can move in different kind of terrains? What issues it has had? So point I'm making is that if there is a repetition of themes in current affairs in the Republic Day parade, then probably we are going on the right track, right? There was a mention of these kind of bridges, PMSS bridge and Sarvatra bridge. Now this you can put whenever you talk of defense technology and India's upgradations, how is India maneuvering or going ahead. So these are the keywords, examples that you should use. We also saw how India has incorporated a new combat uniform. It was presented in the parade this time, right? Then coming to the tableau, Meghalaya tableau. The Meghalaya tableau was based on the self-help group working for women development. Now, this is an example for you of how states are developing. There was a question in main examination on how each tribes are indigenously trying to develop themselves and promote indigenous culture in the country, right? So this is a good example. Gujarat presented a tribal revolution 100 years back. Haryana spoke of the sports supremacy of Haryana and the reasons for it. Now, we have discussed Haryana also. We have discussed Meghalaya previously. We have discussed around 10 different tribes from around the country which are popular in doing something that they specialize in. Now, this is what I would like you to do. Pick up all those tribes and put them at a place, right? You can pick up not only from this current affairs source, also from the particular video that you watched, the Republic Day parade. That entry also should be there. This is the point I'm making. We become what we consume, and we are consuming something. We must remember this, right? Similarly, Uttarakhand was about the connectivity, road connectivity, and presented the religious places it is connecting, right? We have covered this, right? Supreme Court said that the connectivity is very important. Defense versus environment is not the game. Defense and environment together is the game. Chhattisgarh focusing on Godhan Yojana, right? So Godhan relates to our zero budget natural farming. We had spoken about this, that states like Chhattisgarh, states like Andhra Pradesh, they are pioneers in zero budget natural farming. Uttar Pradesh spoke of one district, one product. Maharashtra, the symbols of the state that one of you mentioned. Textile Ministry presented the technical textiles. You liked it, you guys liked it. I heard that you voted for it. So technical textiles, did we cover? Yes. Cotton textiles, did we cover? Right. So this is the point I'm making here. Then coming down to some of you liking the air show towards the end. You saw Rafale, you saw Chinook helicopter, Mi-17, Mi-17 as well. So my point is, do you know the difference between Mi-17 and Chinook? That's the question I'm asking. You should look up these things on internet. Or what is the difference between Rafale and why did we need to purchase Rafale at all when we had Sukhoi aircraft? Right. So this is how the C-17 and C-130 look like. There were two C-130s and one C-17. This is a bigger aircraft and C-130 is a smaller aircraft, right? And this is used, so if it is bigger, it can carry more payload, more persons. It has got a capacity of heavy lifting. Yes, C-130 also heavy lifts, but it can be landed on those airstrips also, which are smaller, and small takeoff and landing strips are required for this. Both of them are used for reconnaissance. Both of them are used for carrying of military personals and payload from one place to another during war and peace times, right? And this is how the interior looks like. They can even carry a main battle tank inside them, right? Similarly, when you like this air show, the sorties of aeroplanes, this is a Rafale. Now my question to you is it a twin jet? Is it a twin engine jet plane or a single engine? Here is the answer. If you looked at the image carefully, right, you would find two exhausts. Two exhausts means there are two engines, and that is why there are two exhausts. Double the propulsion. Single engine means single level of thrust, and therefore lesser the weight, lesser the speed as well, right? So whereas some of the aircrafts have got two jet engines, some of them have one. Rafale has got two. Similarly, what is the number of pilots it can seat, right? So these are the kind of questions that could actually differentiate you from a person casually watching these kind of videos, right? All right. So the point I'm making is that there is a critical awareness that or observation capacity that UPSC or serious aspirants do tend to have, and this is how we are trying to look at it. That's it. All right. So let me see what you people have written here. All right, Ashish, great that you watched it, and I think now you'll be able to relate more towards the exam you are preparing for. All right. So yes, you all are correct. One Ashok Chakra was awarded and no Paramveer Chakra because we are not in a state of war right now. Only Ashok Chakra was awarded because it is a peacetime gallantry award, right? Peacetime bravery award. And yes, that ASI from Jammu and Kashmir Police, absolutely correct. All right, posthumous. Yes, Netra says, what was that Prime Minister sign? Every dignitary has to put a remark after they have visited an important site, right? How was it? What was the experience? They just put a signature there, right? So they can also remark it was good, marvelous, thank you for, something like that, Netra. All right, moving ahead. All right, what is the question here? Changing scenario of JNK is also there. Yes, that was also there as one of the tableau. Bhavani says Chinook can fly during any climate condition and also fly above high altitude than helicopter. Rafale twinjet. Thank you, Netra. And then another point that you mentioned here is one pilot, but one Rafale is two pilot. Yes, Rafale can be one pilot or twin pilot both. All right. Schemes like Jal Jeevan Mission, yes. Ministry of Water Resources, Udan, yes. Good, very good. So point being that you start relating to all this in your real life, and this is what will make your world. You will make your world regarding UPSC itself till the time you are able to get through, right? This is the point that I'm making. And Bhavani spoke of Chinook. You should look at the image of Chinook and the image of other helicopters like the ones that we had, Dhruv and advanced light helicopter and the other helicopters that we had, right? So Chinook is a heavy lift helicopter which has got two rotors like this, right? And they rotate in the opposite direction. And this is a very typically different helicopter than all other helicopters. It can carry the payload by carrying it, lifting it up, right? So the primary difference between Chinook and other helicopters is the kind of payload. It is a very, very heavy lift helicopter as compared to the other ones. And then of course, whatever you're mentioning, that also comes, but secondary. All right, so let's get on to discuss the current affairs for today, right? We have some topics pending to discuss that I had promised, some questions that you people had asked, and some topics like what is the difference between BrahMos and the other missile systems. Just because S-400 and differentiation was asked, we have to discuss this also because BrahMos has been very, very popular product these days from Indian Defense Forces. First snapshot for today. All right, what are the snapshots for today? World Economic Outlook by IMF. Name the person who is second in command at IMF and of Indian origin. Who is that person? The second one is Padma Awards being presented. How are they presented? What is the nomination like? We will understand. And third one is Great Nicobar Environmental Impact Assessment Report. Some anomalies in the report. Right? We will understand the project here. This day in history dedicated to remembering the international Holocaust during World War II. And the feature news for today on the popular theme on which you are writing your points, electronics industry in India. Image of the day on the great dying. Not this one, but yes, the last and last to last times when there was a mass extinction. This is what is the image of the day. The four terms that we have. First one is Bal Puraskar. Second one is Oslo Meet by Taliban. Third, solar flares which were present last week. And fourth one is community transmission of coronavirus. Editorials that we have, India's food processing potential, right? And then green strategy, which is not working very well in our country. And the third one is on European geopolitics of gas pipeline. Very interesting one. And today's case is on medicinal plantation in Himachal Pradesh. All right. So let's begin this conversation. All right. Geeta Gopinath, thank you very much. She was the chief economist of IMF and now she is the second in command director of IMF. The director of IMF is Christina Georgieva, and she is the same lady who was questioned while she was heading the World Bank, right? And this was the time when the World Bank's report, flagship report, what is the name of that report? It was questioned, and then later it was disbanded. What is the name of that World Bank report? Ease of Doing Business report. And now she is heading IMF. So this is something that brings to question the credibility of the persons who are elected at the highest levels, right? All right, getting to snapshot first. World Economic Outlook report. This is another flagship report. Flagship, you understand what is flagship? Flagship is the ship which is ahead of all the other ships during the times of war, and this is the ship which carries the general or the person, admiral, whoever is the leader of the war, right, from one of the sides. So this flagship indicates that whatever the ship will command, other ships will do. The indicator is flag itself, right, hoisting the flag, or maybe turning it down, or inclining it or declining it at some particular angle, or some kind of whistles or musical instruments could be used to sign the other ships. But this flagship is the command ship, right? So this is what flagship means. If IMF has a flagship report, that means this is the report on the basis of which it might be spending money. This is the report on the basis of which it might be ensuring how it strategizes impacting the whole world, right? For example, World Food Program, United Nations strategies, they are based on flagship reports. So IMF, one of the flagship report is World Economic Outlook. Similar to what World Bank had. World Bank had Ease of Doing Business as one of the flagship report. And on the basis of this report, not only World Bank would instate its policies, but many countries, many corporates would look up to this report. Where is the ease of doing business better? Is it in India? Let's invest in that country. But then this report was found to have some inconsistencies, some corruption there by the alleged the director of World Bank, and then China, Saudi Arabia, some other countries, and therefore it was disbanded. Right, so let us understand what this World Economic Outlook report is about, right? So World Economic Outlook report presents the overall scenario in the coming times, scenario of economic growth, economic outlook, the name itself says. And this report has said that the world's growth of GDP will not be as high as it was predicted earlier, right? So in the latest report, it says that it is weaker position than previously expected. The world in 2022 is in a weaker position as compared to what it was expected, right? It is because of primarily two economies not doing that well, USA and China. See, these are the big economies, and the crisis in China, the real estate crisis, and other crises. What are the other crises? Energy crisis. Then we have crisis of the climate change. Right, not only in China, let's talk about the whole world. Climate change is one crisis because of which there are reduced efficiencies around the world. Energy, right? Energy extraction becomes tough if climate change is high. Remember, we had spoken all the coal fields, they would be covered in water. How would we be able to extract coal? Energy crisis. Displacement of people. 1% of population is around the world is forcefully displaced. So they will need more resources. Right, and if they need more resources during the times of climate change, when there is already less agricultural production because of climate change, because of extreme weather, because of natural vagaries, then there will be more demand, prices rise, price rise, high inflation around the world, food inflation, inflation for other products. Not only this, look at the situation around the countries, war. Right now, the whole world is seeing price rise again. Right, prices of oil are, internationally, they have risen to around $100 per barrel. Why is it so? It is because of the wars, right? So UAE was struck because of Houthi rebels from Yemen, and because of this, and there are other international crises, many of them happening in Middle East area, which is well fed with natural resources, energy resources. War is the one impacting its production, and that is the reason which is impacting the energy availability and then availability of all other issues, right? So then corona pandemic, there is no end to all these issues, right? Supply chain, the global supply chain has gotten completely dismantled. Use these keywords, dismantled, So 7-8 of them, and we are facing repeated corona pandemics. And now WHO chief has also said that although we might be thinking that this is the last pandemic, but this is actually not so. There might be more of the similar kind, and in fact more mutations in coronavirus only. So this is only going to get augmented, and it will start with the bigger countries. Why? Because they are the ones which drive the global economy, supply chain. So when China's Evergrande company that is not able to repay the loans, then there will be a snowball effect of not being able to pay the loans, and this will spur probably a slowdown in future. But right now they have only downgraded the forecast, right? So not much. You might feel that they have dropped it only 1.5% from 5.9% of growth to 4.4%, but this will come in trillions of dollars, not billions, trillions of dollars for the whole world. But then if they have dropped down the forecast for 2022, they have increased the forecast for 23. That means, see, this is based on previous year's growth rate. No, previous year. What was the previous year? So if the previous year growth rate was very low, right, because of corona pandemic, there will be a jump, right? There will be a huge jump, and then there will be slower growth after that. But if this growth decreases because of corrections like these issues, then the next year growth might have a better jump. This is what they are trying to indicate through this. I hope you got what I am saying. China also has got zero COVID policy, right? So stricter lockdowns, they want to enforce zero COVID policy. Also, they are hosting the Winter Olympics this time, Winter Olympics. So because of this, the country's policy is that they want to reduce the pollution levels. So they have curtailed a lot of things. One example of this is curtailing the mining of bitcoins in the country. Mining of Bitcoin takes a lot of energy and it heats up the whole place. They need central air conditioning system so that they are able to mine Bitcoins. China is putting a strict control on mining of Bitcoin. This is one. They also do not want that the country as a whole should spend more than required on emissions. So zero COVID policy and policy on the climate change. This is the reason that they have cut down the predictions for a country like China, right? There is a broad-based recovery. This is what they are saying. Higher and more broad-based inflation also, right? So the same examples that I said: energy prices, supply disruptions, localized wage pressures, future forecast, right? So they have increased the forecast by 2% for the following year, as I mentioned, right? So if this year's forecast is low, the following years will be a little higher, right? India's forecast also was dropped, right? So this is what is the forecast right now. They will keep changing, but the broader point for you to understand in this report is that they're speaking of the impending crisis. This is the indication from the report, all right? So this is it. Second snapshot, Padma Awards. All right, you guys there? Padma Awards, what are they about? So Padma Awards, this question, by the way, was asked in UPSC exam prelims this year itself. One of the options in the question was if it has been a regularly presented award or if there were interruptions in the award. Yes, there were interruptions in the award in specific years 1978, 79 and 1993 to 97. All right. Now, Padma Awards are a series of awards. They contain 3 different awards, right? Earlier, they were named under one heading only, right? Padma Awards, and then 3 levels of those awards. But now they have been named distinctively Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri, right? So each of them carry a different level of respect, different kind of medallions presented in Padma Awards. This is the basis of it. No monetary benefit is given to people. Medallion is given, medallion. And a certificate is also given to persons who receive these awards, right? So there is a procedure for selection of people who receive Padma Awards. There is a committee which does the whole scrutiny and presents this award, and this is also presented to specific individuals in specific fields of endeavor. Also presented to people posthumous after they have passed away in rare cases, or people who are presently alive. This is presented to maximum 120 people, apart from the people who are NRIs or some special mention persons. Otherwise 120 number of awards is presented. This year it was 128, right? Now the Padma Awards were instituted in the year 1954, the same year in which Bharat Ratna was also instituted. Bharat Ratna has been presented to how many people? Anybody? How many people? Right? So something more basic about Padma Awards. Now these are the 3 medallions, right? Medal kind of entities, medallions which are given to Padma recipients. On one side of the medallion is written, Padma Vibhushan in Devanagari script. Padma Bhushan Padma Shri, and at the middle of it is the lotus. See, lotus in all three of them. Lotus is the national flower, right? On the other side of the medallion, we have the national emblem, and Satyamev Jayate is also written, right? So this is the medallion that is presented to the Padma recipients. What about Bharat Ratna? So this is a peepal tree leaf, right? On this leaf, there will be a sun placed in the middle, Bharat Ratna written on one side, and on the other side, we will again have the national emblem and Satyamev Jayate written there, right? Along with one certificate. People are not presented any monetary benefits here, but they do receive certain acclamations. For example, people receiving Bharat Ratna can travel in AC first class or by flight throughout their whole life, right? They will be conferred some honorary positions as well. But yes, these are those titles which one cannot write alongside their names, right? Alongside their names, right? So this will, if you have known the Constitution, Article 17, only specific kind of military distinctions or academic distinctions can be carried as a prefix or suffix, and these are not those, right? Earlier, these Padma Awards in that year, instituted year 1954, they were called as Padma. They were called as Padma Awards, and they were called as Padma Varg 1, Dusra Varg, Tisra Varg, third, first, and second divisions. But later, in the next year itself, they were distinguished. They were called as Padma Vibhushan that year, and then after that, three distinctions, right? So they are the highest civilian honor after the Bharat Ratna Award. All right. So what else is there? Yes, what else is that they are instituted, they are given to people for various works of art, medicine, literature, education, public services, public affairs, science, engineering, also for people who are working for the preservation of nature or various kind of peaceful activities. So presented on wide domain, wide variety of ranges, human rights, wildlife protection, amongst a lot of other things, right? And who can be nominated for this? Any Indian, any person can nominate another person. They can also nominate themselves. On nomination, they will have to write an essay of 800 words on why those people deserve it. And then the committee scrutinizes the further details. This committee is formed by the Prime Minister. The committee will contain some secretary level IS officers. Along with that, some distinguished, 4 to 6 distinguished illuminaries who will later, critically judge if the person deserves this award or not, right? So there is a complete time, dedicated for this scrutiny. All right. So this is how the award is presented. It was not presented in the particular years 78, 79, 93 to 97, and this was a part of the pre-question also. All right. So this has come up in the newspaper because some of the recipients they have refused this award, right? Persons of dignitary. All right. And this is presented to all the persons without distinction of race, occupation, position, or sex. So no distinction. But yes, government servants are disbarred from receiving this award. Special mention to those people who can receive the awards, doctors and scientists in government as well, right? But other people, while they are working, will not be able to receive this award. So this award is not presented for long service. Puri service kaam kiya nahi, not for that. It is for special services in all those particular fields that we mentioned, right? And largely lifetime achievement, largely, not special services for half a year or 1 year, lifetime achievement. All right. So this is about Padma Awards. What is the third one? All right. What is the third one? The third one is Great Nicobar Environmental Impact Assessment Report. Now this report is a very, very important report, right? Because it talks about how a developmental project will impact the ecology, nature of that particular place, how it will also impact the people there, people living there, nature there, and then it will also calculate how this impact can be minimized, what has to be done to ensure that the project also goes along, or how it can be curtailed and how its management should be done, right? Now there have been some, when there has been a plan to develop Great Nicobar, right? Let me show you the image first. Now you look at this image. This image shows the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, right? Andaman Nicobar Islands. So it has got two parts, Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands, right? Andaman Islands are those places where everybody is allowed to visit, right? People can tour and visit also. But in Nicobar Islands, only administration is allowed to visit apart from the local people who reside there. So the tribal people or Nicobari people are themselves a tribe. There are many other tribes who reside here, locals, right? So outsiders are not allowed so that they can preserve their own community. Now this is where the government has planned. So when you see Andaman Islands, there are three big islands, North, Middle and Lower Andaman. And in Lower Andaman, we have Port Blair, right? The capital of Andaman Nicobar. And then we have Little Andaman as well. And then we have a whole set of islands called as Nicobar. The one on the top is Car Nicobar, and then we have many small islands, Kachal, Nankovri, and then Little Nicobar, Great Nicobar. There has been a project. Now this is where the outsider people, Indian people from outside are not allowed, but administration is. Government had planned to build infrastructure projects at Great Nicobar Island, right? So if they are planning to build, this whole place has got its own ecosystem. The place is surrounded by coral reefs. The place has got sea cow, dugong, right? So there are many things this place has got which is unique to itself, endemic to it, right? And they do not exist at other places. Even the culture of the people, the culture of the tribes, these are existent right here. Just a few Jarvas, 100 Jarvas residing here. There is a Sentinel Island in Andaman, and the Sentinel people are only few in number, lesser than 100. And they oppose the administration as well stepping on their Sentinel Island. You should search, look up that island, important island. So when government is planning to develop Greater Nicobar, they must carry out EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment. And if there is some issue in this report, for example, if important facts, the presence of flora fauna, if it has been missed here, or if the impact that it would carry, the project would carry on the flora fauna here, if it has not been presented well, then is when the question will arise. And this question has already arisen, right? Now, noteworthy mention is the government's declaration of clearance of EIA. If you remember, 3 days back, we had discussed how government is trying to ensure that environmental impact assessment, this whole report gets cleared faster. If the reports get cleared faster, the state will get a better rank, right? And I also spoke of district impact assessment, right? District level impact assessment, right? If you remember, the authority, district magistrate who was to head this authority, this organization, they have a conflict of interest, because on one hand, if they want the project to proceed, they must ensure that EIA is done faster. But on the other hand, the chief duty of EIA is to scrutinize if this project is worthy of this place or not, right? So in this regard, this Great Nicobar EIA report, there has been a controversy found here, right? There have been allegations. Recently released draft EIA report for mega development project of Great Nicobar have raised allegations that the information presented is not complete, scientific inaccuracy, failure to follow appropriate procedure and guidelines. This is a huge project, 72,000 crore rupees. They're trying to build airstrip, they're trying to build the whole island, redevelop it for people, right? But then the questions of incomplete data, institutional callousness means carelessness, has been found here. On the side of who? On the side of administration, right? I would like to show you. This is one of the islands. This is an island off the coast of the Port Blair. There is a Mahatma Gandhi Marine National Park. I had visited this place back in 2013. And this is one of the islands called as the Red Island. There are two islands here. One is Jolly Boy and then the other one is Red Island, right? So six months Jolly Boy is open and 6 months the Red Island is open. And this is the pristine place where we would find the coral reefs still alive, the polyps, right, the organisms still alive in its natural hues, natural colors, all of them. Not only that, starfishes, sea cucumber, right, and then the sea snake, all of them would be just 6 feet below us. We don't even have to scuba dive. This is because the government ensures that 6 months Jolly Boy is used for tourism and 6 months the Red Island is used for tourism, while the other one is kept in its nature pristine beauty. Only few number of people are allowed per day, right? 6-7 boats are allowed per day. So point I'm making is that this is a good case study of how the beauty can be preserved, right? But this is something that is not happening probably in Nicobar, and that is why it has raised concerns. Government plans to build greenfield airport, integrated transshipment portal, right? So what is the transshipment portal? I have explained this earlier. India is doing this in Kerala as well. India is also trying this in near Andaman Sea. Now, if you look at the map, the larger map, if we build, this is the Great Nicobar, right? If we build a transshipment portal, the ships can come, deliver their items here, and then go back to Europe or Middle East or Americas back, South America, North America or Africa. And from here, India will take on the goods to further east. So this is one place which Sri Lanka also has, transshipment portals. Remember, if India also builds this, it will be good for its economy. But how good for environment? This is what has been questioned right now, right? So we have also tried to build power plant projects here, right? But then again, being questioned by people, right? The locals. This is why in news. A large majority of existing corals have been avoided through careful sightings. The urban development will be kept on small footprint along the edges of island that are least frequented by Shompen and Nicobaris. These are the tribes residing here, right? So there is a Niti Aayog report. It says that we'll try our level best to reduce the impact of this project. However, still the details are inadequate here in the report, right? This is the allegation. International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Today, the United Nations said that we will pay remembrance to those people who were killed during the Second World War, the times when Nazi Germany assassinated is not the word, they persecuted more than 60 lakh Jews around Europe, right? Poland and many other countries, right? There was systematic persecution of the community, and this is why United Nations has dedicated a day in remembrance of the people who lost lives. Feature news for today is on electronics industry in India. We will understand what is the target. We have set a very beautiful target for ourselves. Although we have dropped down the ambitious target of $400 billion, creation of $400 billion of manufacturing products in electronic industry to $300 billion. But still, this target is far more amazing to deliver, and also raising our targets for exports to $120 billion. We will understand how can India do this. Right? We will understand what are the challenges on the way, and we will also understand what is the way out in this scenario, right? So electronics industry has been in news like anything globally. We will understand this again here. Image of the day on the great dying, right? So this is one of the times when mass extinction happened in the past, right? And this great dying happened around 120 million years back. This is the image of some of the fossils of those times. And this happened because of many factors, right? Extraterrestrial or terrestrial factors, volcanoes from within, and possibly the asteroids from outside. All right. It was also known as the largest mass extinction of insects. All right. Yes, Hima, it is in 40s. The number of people who have received the Bharat Ratna is in 40s, right? The last time it was presented, it was in the year 2019. All right. And Netra also mentions another fact: 5 PVTGs present in the Nicobar Islands. All right. And somebody, peace lover, also talks about leatherback turtle. Turtle is one of those ecological indicators which is highly traded. And India, 5 species of turtle which are popularly found, they are endangered or critically endangered, right? And so is rhinoceros. And we are transporting them from one place to another, or rhino is being killed for its horns, right? So very grave situation. Mass extinction वैसे ही हो रहा है, and then over that we are killing our own animals, right? Terms and concepts. The first term for today is Rashtriya Bal Puraskar. Now this Bal Puraskar is presented to all the citizens below the age of 18 who have achieved something special in the field of bravery, art, culture, sports, scholastics, school services, innovation, right? Innovation is a good entry here, right? Otherwise, usually presented earlier, as we knew, it was presented for children who have, done acts of valor and bravery in the face of some challenges, but it is present to all kind of students, right? Exceptional abilities and outstanding accomplishments, right? So it is a presented in two different regards: Bal Shakti Puraskar and Bal Kalyan Puraskar. Bal Kalyan means welfare of children. To an organization it is given, and Bal Shakti to the children itself. Now this reminds me of one particular thing that I wanted to mention. I'd like to bring you back to the snapshot on the Padma Awards. Now these three Padma Awards are given in specific acts of service, right? So for example, the Padma Vibhushan is presented, yes, Padma Vibhushan is presented for exceptional and distinguished service. This is point number one, exceptional and distinguished service. Padma Bhushan is presented to distinguished service or higher order. This is second, distinguished service of higher order. And Padma Shri is presented to persons with distinguished service. See, so how you should remember is exceptional and distinguished both, then distinguished of higher order, and then distinguished only. Whereas Bharat Ratna is presented to just match the words here, right? Exceptional service of higher order. Exceptional service of higher order, Bharat Ratna is presented to those people, right? So if there is a match of the following questions, you should remember this. You should remember this. Exceptional and distinguished for Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan for distinguished of higher order, and then Padma Shri only for distinguished service. For Bharat Ratna, exceptional of higher order. All right. So these facts sometimes do, create issues, but they matter. But they matter for pre-exams. All right. We move to the second term for today, that is Oslo Meet. Oslo Meet has been organized to try and mainstream the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. Now they are falling short of funds, international funds, in the face of many countries who have withdrawn support to Afghanistan, who are also cut down the kind of aid that they give to Afghanistan, and because of which more than 50% of people are on the verge of extreme hunger. More than 50%. This country is of around 4 crore population, and 2.3 crore population is going through extreme hunger and issues of even basic needs of food. This is United Nations report, and this is the reason that Afghanistan, the Taliban regime there, they say we want to get legitimized. We will hold a meet in Oslo, the capital of Norway, and they have asked all the powers, Russia, USA, European Union, all the countries from Europe to come and start to recognize them. But they are not going to get recognized this easily, right? So largely because they have not even maintained what they said. For example, women participation in administration, women education, right? They're venturing out of their homes, all has gotten restricted, right? So these are some issues, and they have not followed up on their own promises. Probably this is the reason that they will find very tough, ground for them to have legitimate existence. They are popular government, not the popular, they are the political government, de facto ruler, but they are not elected. All right. Solar flares in news because solar flares, solar winds cause some radio damage around the Indian Ocean region. Now, India has got its own geomagnetism. We all know that, right? There is a pole-wise tendency of formation of the iron and the silicon, all the metals present inside in liquid form, they align themselves in a way that we form a magnet, and this also has its own magnetic field. This magnetic field helps us from surviving these solar winds. The solar winds, because of the solar reactions, the nuclear reactions, what they ensure is that they pass on some solar radiations to us, harmful radiations, something that will ensure that we don't survive. But this magnetism ensures that we do not receive the solar radiations. But when there are times when solar radiations are high in magnitude because of some solar reactions at some specific places, not known, not very well known. This is the reason that we have mission Aditya and other missions to know more about sun. So because of this, there are some satellites at some levels, the instruments, their communication gets hampered because of these solar flares. This is what happened to satellites around the Indian Ocean region as well. All right. So this is why in news, solar flares. The fourth one is community transmission. Now, Indian community of the scientists, which are handling COVID, they have now finally said that yes, COVID seems to have gone into community transmission stage. Very late they accepted this. This is of not much significance, but you must know how the cases actually spread. No cases to sporadic cases. Sporadic means ekke dukke, just a few of them, and then cluster based spread, and then community spread. Cluster means that in some specific areas where they were spread and not throughout, but community spread is uncontrolled, widespread, right? So although this has happened, and we are expecting that we all will be under something called as, what is the word for it? There is a word which denotes the whole community level spread, right? This is called as herd immunity. So although it is being said that we will develop herd immunity, but this will be only against a specific mutation of the virus. If the virus further mutates, then we will have problems, and there might be a community spread of the new kind of virus again, right, under corona itself. And then herd immunity will have to be achieved again and again. And this is the fear that WHO has propounded again. So it's something which is of concern, all right. Let me discuss the third editorial first. The geopolitics of gas pipeline. You people spoke about the Nord gas pipeline, and here it is in news, right? So when you, all right. So what is happening here is that there is a fight between countries here. The fight between countries like USA and Russia. Just listen to me for a while. USA is the largest exporter of gas, right? So liquefied petroleum gas, natural gas, whereas it has got only 5% of the known global resources. Russia has got 25% of the global known gas resources, whereas it is not the largest exporter of gases, right? USA is selling these gases at very competitive prices to Europe to meet its energy requirements, so competing with Russia. Now this is in news because a small country like Croatia, I would like to show you Croatia on the map just a bit. Google searching Croatia or Europe. Images here. So when we see a small country like Croatia, where is it? Very tough to find out. This is the map of Europe, and this is where you find Turkey. And right below Turkey is a very small country called as Croatia. Cyprus, not Croatia, Cyprus. We are talking of Cyprus here. So Croatia is right here in the middle, right? So we are talking of a small country, Cyprus, which had planned to build its own gas pipelines with the help of USA. And this pipeline has been cancelled because of certain reasons. One reason is Turkey, which also claims to certain resources in the region, in the exclusive economic zone of Cyprus. Cyprus is not willing to give them that resource or part away with that kind of money. Along with that, Cyprus economy is also dependent on tourism, which is not doing so well. So Cyprus said, let us have some gas resources transported to, from the offshore fields to Cyprus, and Cyprus to Greece, and then Greece to Italy. This is what it said, 2,000 kilometers, around 2,000 kilometers. 2 to 3,000 kilometers, right? It was funded by USA as well. But now this is not happening. Why? Because Cyprus is not, this is a political matter for Cyprus. Why it is not happening is because Cyprus said to its citizens that this will be the project of the century, but Turkey's contentions are there, environmental issues are there, then project funding and financing is there, not getting carried, right? This is like a 6 billion euro project and very tough to carry out. So USA has also withdrawn, but this project is insignificant because there is a different kind of race between Russia on one hand and USA. As I mentioned, USA is lesser, it has got lesser reserves of gases, but still the highest exporter around the world, right? In between that, Russia would pass on its resources to Europe through two channels. One is Belarus and the other one was through Kiev, through Ukraine. But with Ukraine, Russia is having tensions. Belarus is one friendly nation to Russia, but Belarus has got sanctions from the Western countries, right? Because of various, belligerent issues. Example, migrant crisis with Belarus and Poland, if you remember, right? So discussed 1 month back, we had discussed this. So because of this, Russia says that we will skip Belarus and Ukraine. We will have our own transportation, right, which will be directly from the sea region, Baltic Sea region, and we will ensure that there's a direct pipeline from Moscow, from Russia to Germany. And this pipeline is called as Nord Stream, right? It has been instituted already, but it has not received formal approval from Germany right now, right? So this is Nord Stream, and then we will also have another Nord Stream 2, right? Russia is not only building these direct pipelines, it is also diversifying its pipelines with China. It has also had its pact with India to explore Arctic and give resources, gas resources, to a country like India. So the editorial says that India must not be worried about these smaller projects of Cyprus. India must look at what and how it can receive these resources. So presently there are three countries with supply gases to India. They are Qatar, Australia and USA. These are the highest ones that transfer gas resources to India. We will also have Russia in this, right? But another upcoming project called as Tarpi, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. This Tarpi pipeline is more important for India because Turkmenistan has got that particular gas resource, which has got the second highest reserves around the whole world. So India must look at this execution. What are the impediments? Pakistan, India relations, Afghanistan administration, financing of a project, and the safety of its working, right? These are the issues. So this is why this editorial was in news, a very interesting editorial. All right. The second editorial is on the cost of an ill-considered strategy. See, if you look at the problems of climate change, the problems of climate change happen because of, we also suppose, there are two reasons this has happened. One reason is the natural crisis, and the other one is because of human anthropocentric crisis. Now, when this climate crisis has happened, this has ensured that the prices of fuel go high. When the prices of fuel go high, anything that is dependent on the prices of fuel, they go high. One example is the industries, fertilizer industry. Another example is the transportation industry. Another example is the manufacturing industry. When the prices of petroleum products go high, the fertilizer base will get decreased or its cost will rise. The fertilizer cost of ammonia, DAP, diammonium phosphate, in international market, urea itself has risen more than 2 to 3 times. International market, IFCO has had to give more subsidies, right? Look at the other sector. When we talk of transportation, the transportation of food products becomes more expensive because same fuel is getting used here. What about the manufacturing of the equipments to be used at under the SMAM scheme? What is the full form of SMAM? And what are the places where they give these devices to local people? What is the name of the places in village where they give it to? This is called as CHCs, Custom Hiring Centers. Submission on agricultural mechanization, right? So when the prices are rising, the prices of inputs are rising, the prices of food also will rise. This will give to another crisis, food crisis. See, this is the complete mismanagement, which is because of human mismanagement of the climatic ecosystem. This is what the editorial speaks. The consequences of an inconsidered green strategy. We didn't consider the green strategy, and look at the consequences. It has come down to our fundamental issue of food crisis. And not only food, related to everything else, all the other industries which are linked. And mind you, the logical flow of this editorial is so beautiful. Every answer needs to be presented in this. Our arguments have to be presented in this. Ethics arguments have to be also presented in the same format, right? So what is required is to ensure that we have cleaner sources of energy. Not something that this small nation Cyprus is doing, something that India is doing, right? What is it doing? International Solar Alliance, right? What is it doing? Other projects for disaster resilience, right? So CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. My preparation for UPSC has become far better than it was during the times I was preparing, because I am reading about them, because these keywords are there in my mind. I would like you to start using them while I speak it. While I speak it, murmur it. There's nobody listening to you. Yes, if you're listening to it on earphone, people will think you're going crazy, but that's the initial level only, because later they will understand what you're doing and they will start to follow it once they taste what it means. So start to murmur those words. Once you do that, it will be there in your head. Write it down once, look at it twice more, and then you will see the impact of it staying it with you and trying in the test series or answer writing practices. They will come up again and again. This is what I'm demanding, and I'm seeing this happening with some of you. People who are revising it, I'm seeing this happening with you in the chat itself. All right. So the third one is on unlocking India's food processing potential. See, so if you remember, we had spoken about the complete food processing chain, right? Just like textile industry, we had discussed the food processing chain, how people can build the food industry at their home levels and how this is graded. Do you remember this? We had discussed in the complete feature news how people can build the food resources processing, the first level of processing at their homes, and then it gets transported for packaging, for further processing, or for grading, for marketing, for standardization to a mega food factory, and after that it is stored at some logistics center and then later transported, exported throughout the whole country, right? So this is on that. This editorial is on that. I would like to mention a couple of things about food processing. If food processing is not done, if food is not saved, we waste as much as 20% of the food before it reaches us. As much as 20% of food goes waste. Not only that, the net amount of greenhouse gases that are produced around the world, 30% of it is from the food or agriculture and allied sectors, right? How come? You will ask how come? So this is because of paddy industry, right? So methane production. This is because of fertilizer industry. This is because of allied industries which are into agricultural and manufacturing processes, not efficient and lead to greenhouse gas production. This should be more nature oriented. All right. So this is the third editorial. Very insightful, all three of them today. If you like this initiative, shower some love, right? Shower some love just like we shower some love on you every day, right? Through likes, comments and shares. If you subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates for many such interesting videos, right? So moving to the last segment, that is today's case study, which is on medicinal plants. Now this is from Kangra, a place in Himachal Pradesh. Mind you, there are places in India which are very good for horticulture production, and India also has a scheme for medicinal plant production. Now medicinal plants are very important because these are not artificial but natural plants. And this gentleman, Dr. Sunil Kumar, has initiated the same, right? So medicinal plant and their effectiveness in the alternate system of medication, this is very relevant, and we must exploit these kind of services where they can be easily managed. For example, if we have nuts cannot be produced in plain areas or tropical areas. They can only be produced at highland areas. So Kashmir Valley, saffron production. Similarly, tea and coffee can be produced at only specific kind of landscape and terrain and climate conditions. Similarly, the places which have potential for medicinal plant variety, they must be utilized. What are they? So various kind of medicinal plants, and this is the reason that Uttarakhand also finds many medical industries, alternate medical industries settle there, right? So this is the successful example of a gentleman, Dr. Sunil Kumar, who has done the same thing in Kangra, right? And this unorganized sector, largely unorganized, it has got a lot of demand throughout the whole world, though India might not have, but the world is ready to pay huge sum of money to the alternate system of medication. Today's quote is, the ultimate goal of farming is not the growing of crop, but the cultivation and perfection of human beings. See? Such a beautiful thought. And with this thought, I would like you to quickly go to the next video where we will continue the discussion on manufacturing of the electronics industry in India, right? So let me see what you people have questioned here or asked here. Paleomagnetism. Yes, Somik, that word is paleomagnetism. The magnetism which arrived from the olden times. Herd immunity. Thank you very much, Kriti and Netra. Good. So Bilal says, why India failed to boost Tarpi gas pipeline, as this initiative can give India access to Central Asia and shine relationship with both Afghanistan and Pakistan. It's not only India's failure. Actually, Pakistan also receives some level of the gases through pipelines, right? So the pipeline comes and ends at Fazilka. Fazilka is at the border of India, Pakistan in Punjab. But Pakistan is not ready with India receiving a specific amount of resources. The protection of the whole pipeline is another issue. Its financing is an issue. And when Pakistan, see, imagine when Pakistan is not even ready to ensure that Indian supplies should reach Afghanistan via Pakistan, why will it at this level of thought, why will it want India should get more energy access? It will say, why Tapi? Let us tap Turkmenistan resources and let us have it only for Pakistan. But it is not a viable project for everybody if India does not receive it, because India will be receiving a huge chunk of the gases. India's demand is far bigger than Pakistan, right? So tell me the population of Pakistan, please, because India's population, we all know, more than 135 crore. What is the population of Pakistan? The demand is not so much in Pakistan, demand is high in India, and this is why this TAP cannot get executed. TAPI only can get executed. Pakistan needs to be pressurized by countries in Central Asia, Afghanistan and Turkmenistan, to ensure that this project is safely carried out, right? Pricing is another issue. So this is one. Bilal. Hima says SMAM. Very good. Why India is not reviving TAP? Okay, all right. No, India is ready. India wants this project to happen, but this coherence is something that you absolutely are rightly saying. This second track or 1.5 channel diplomacy is required here. Absolutely. Jyotish says, sir, please highlight some points on how to select suitable data for any topic and memorize them. Okay, Jyotish, let's do this. Let's do this. Sometimes you might have to Google search. But let's do this. Jitendra Pal says, please cover the FPI editorial. Foreign portfolio investors, all right. The stock market is going down these days, absolutely. And the reason, we will. But please mention, Jitendra, where is it covered? Can you please mention in the comment section, where is it covered? We will cover that for you. And Netra says, nuts and temperate areas, absolutely correct. All right. So we'll keep meeting you and we'll keep clearing the doubts. If you like this video, share some love through likes, comments and shares. We will meet you in the video on feature news for today, manufacturing of electronic industry in India, in the feature news right away. Thank you for being a part.